Everyone wants to be stronger, not just physically, but in every part of life. But between confusing workout advice, complicated equipment, and trying to figure out nutrition, where does anyone even start? Well, to get stronger mentally and physically, go to Anytime Fitness. You'll get a personalized training, nutrition, and recovery plan, all customized to your body, your strength level, and your goals. You'll get expert coaching to optimize your results, anytime, anywhere, in the gym and on the Anytime Fitness app. And you'll get anytime access to 5,500 gyms worldwide, all with the right equipment to level up your strength gains and your life. So get started at AnytimeFitness.com. That's AnytimeFitness.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You sure. And Mr. Toby Tom, please. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Mark Zinno in 13 minutes. We'll head to Atlanta, talk some Falcons. Russ Mitchell next hour as well. A really awful card in the SEC this weekend. So maybe we'll talk coaching stuff with Russ and some reaction to what transpired this past weekend and what's on the docket. It is interesting, and a lot of people have posed this question. There is this question with Ole Miss as we look toward the college football playoff about the possibility of them being left out if Lane Kiffin leaves. It's remember, that's what happened to Florida State in 2023 when quarterback gets hurt and they got left out of the playoff. Now it was a 14 playoff. This is 12, so it's different. But if they were to lose to Mississippi State, not completely impossible that could transpire. So cross that bridge if and when we get there, but just something to sort of file away in the back of your mind. Okay, it is after further review. We're glad you're with us. While all of our attention has been on the coaching search, the Lane Kiffin saga, as this has drawn out, LSU is going to play its final home game of the season on Saturday. They'll welcome in Western Kentucky. And it's senior night. And unfortunately, Garrett Nussmeier is just not going to have the storybook ending to his career that I'm sure he wanted, that a lot of people would have been hopeful for. We know he sat out of the game a week ago against Arkansas. He did not dress. And on Wednesday on the SEC Coaches Teleconference, Frank Wilson at the midpoint of this week gave this update on Nussmeier.
Garrett's situation hasn't changed much since last week. Those same issues are there for him. He's probably doubtful. You know, he was around yesterday, did some things, an individual, but I would say he's doubtful.
So this is significant for a few reasons. There's obviously the the fact that you hate this for Garrett Nussmeier in what would be his final game in Tiger Stadium if he's unable to play. A guy who has been here since 2021, came back for his 5th season. Remember, did not play in that bowl game in 21 as a freshman to preserve the potential of a 5th year of eligibility, which now there's basically what is the Nussmeier rule, that you can play in a bowl game, it doesn't affect your eligibility. Stayed, never transferred, played this year, clearly through limitations, the disappointment, and now it would appear, if this holds, that Garrett Nussmeier's final on-field action in Tiger Stadium, it looks like it's going to be getting pulled at the end of the Texas A&M game. With that going the way that it did. So that is just so massively disappointing for Garrett that that it looks like his career in Baton Rouge will end this way. Now, he could always, of course, play if he's healthy enough in the regular season finale against Oklahoma. If he's healthy enough, we'll see if and when it gets to that point. I said there's a couple things. One, of course, is just the disappointment for Garrett. The other is if Garrett can't play and then you play Michael Van Buren, of course, then Michael Van Buren burns his red shirt. So he's played in 4 games. If he plays on Saturday against Western Kentucky, that's it. He loses the possibility of a 5th year, at least from this perspective. He could go somewhere next year in red shirt or whatever the case may be and have a 5th year option somewhere down the line. But he would lose this season of eligibility. And, it was pretty clear a week ago before Nuss was injured late in the week on that Thursday that I would not have played Van Buren. I would have preserved the red shirt. There's no reason to waste a year of eligibility for a 2-quarterback system at the end of a lost season. It takes on a different meaning if Van Buren is starting. He's your starting quarterback like he was against Arkansas. And if Van Buren now is going to start against Western Kentucky and start against Oklahoma and play the entirety of the game, well, now you're talking about, the opportunity to go start 3 games at the end of the season, potentially a road conference game against Oklahoma. And now you're getting a real good evaluation of Michael Van Buren for whoever the next coach will be, to know if this is the guy that you want to saddle up behind for 2026. Now, no matter how it shakes, LSU has to add quarterbacks this offseason. Because even if Colin Hurley rejoins the team and Van Buren is back, you're not going into the season with 2 scholarship quarterbacks. Nussmeier's graduating. You'll have to add someone via the portal. The question is, are you looking for someone with starting experience? Like the reports of Sam Leavitt from Arizona State considering portal offers and options. Okay, well, that's a great option if it's available. Or are you looking for someone like you added with A.J. Swan or with Michael Van Buren? Guys that you knew you were bringing in to be backups. Well, it's hard to answer that question today, but I'll have a much better answer with a greater sample size for Michael Van Buren over the next 2 weeks. If he starts and plays the whole game against Western Kentucky and plays really well, and then goes to Norman against that defense and plays really well, you may decide, man, look, there's a lot there. And you like the possibility of how he may grow. Now, the other part of that, too, is what coach do you hire, and stylistically, what skill set does that coach want in his quarterback? That's an unknown. Hypothetically, if you hire Lane Kiffin, does Kiffin bring, a quarterback with him from Ole Miss? Maybe. You've got Simmons there, who lost his starting job to Trinidad Chambliss, who could certainly be a transfer risk. Could follow Kiffin, maybe. What if you hire Kenny Dillingham? Do you get Dillingham and Sam Leavitt? Those are all hypotheticals. You could play down the road. But the point is, if Nussmeier is not available, then you get 2 more games of a 3-game sample size of Michael Van Buren starting at LSU this year on top of the 8 games he started a year ago at Mississippi State, which will give you just more information to make a more informed decision. Now, we're obviously keeping an eye on Nussmeier, and it looks like he's doubtful, according to Frank. The other player everyone's asking about every week is, of course, Whit Weeks, who hasn't played since the South Carolina game. So disappointing, but here was the update on Whit.
He's game. He want to play. I think he has a chance to play. It's been that every week for him. What happens is sometimes he gets extremely sore after practicing, after pushing himself in what is today a Wednesday would be our ability to manage it, to try to get him to game so that he could feel good about himself. be able to protect himself and be very productive as much as he can be. That's the plan. And so we'll continue to adhere to that.
We'll talk more about the plan against Western Kentucky. And this is a Western Kentucky team that you played in Tiger Stadium a few years back and is one that's going to spread it out and sling it around. They're 11th in the country in passing yards. They average 31 points a game. So it's a good offense there at Western Kentucky. The Hilltoppers can sling it. So, they're 8-2. They're second in CUSA. But I don't think you need Whit Weeks to win this game. Obviously, you're a 3-touchdown favorite Saturday in Tiger Stadium. But would you love to have Whit Weeks back for the sake of letting him get out there and play these next two games and what limited opportunities he has left in Tiger Stadium if he goes pro after the season or makes the decision to return? The bottom line is, you go through spring, you go through fall, and obviously Whit missed spring as he was recovering from the offseason surgery, and you go through fall camp, and you go through just all the miserable practices to get to Saturdays to be able to play in the games. And obviously he already lost the one game against Florida after targeting on the third play. And now this injury has taken him away for more than a month. So I can understand if he's healthy and he wants to play, getting out there and giving it a go. But we'll talk much more about Western Kentucky as we move throughout the week and whether or not Whit Weeks will be available. By the way, Western Kentucky head coach Tyson Helton is going to be on AFR tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that conversation. Get a closer look at the Hilltoppers as they come into Tiger Stadium. All right, it is after further review. Oh, real quick, y'all. Friday is the last day to register for the 12 Days of Christmas with Parish Construction and Roofing. I've told you about it. You don't have to sign up for a roofing inspection. It's nothing like that. We team with some local businesses to try to bless 12 families in our area that are less fortunate, that could use a little uplifting this Christmas. All you have to do, if there's a family you want to nominate, go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. At the top of the homepage, you'll see where it says click here to enter the Parish 12 Days of Christmas giveaway. All you got to do is just tap that icon right there, and it'll bring you to the form where you can fill out. The 12 families that we choose will win. Parish is putting up $1,000 each for the 12 families. Our friends at Duplessis Builders, big hat tip, and thank you to Derek Duplessis and his team. They're matching the $1,000. So each family will get $2,000. They'll get a food voucher from Chris's Specialty Foods to take care of Christmas dinner. And then they'll get a shoe donation voucher from Ruckus to get shoes for the family as well. So trying to give 12 families that are maybe less fortunate the opportunity to have a little brighter Christmas this year, and we're happy to do it. So if there's a family that you may want to nominate, please go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Click on the 12 Days of Christmas banner at the top of the homepage. Merry Christmas, and we'll announce our winners coming up starting at the beginning of December, but the entry ends on Friday. Okay, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Let me knock out a quick break. Our Hump Day shows are brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. When we come back, we head to Atlanta. Mark Zinno talking Falcons. It's AFR.
AFR.
If you want to look and feel like your younger self, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help. Visit yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Something else that you might have seen, in the last couple of weeks, the FDA has lifted the black box warning on HRT for females as well for women. I think there's so much either misinformation or just lack of information that people have, but there are so many incredible health benefits to hormone replacement therapy, not just with how you feel, but living a longer and fuller, more vital life. Do the research or go to Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness and have that consultation. Sit down with Gabe, let him explain the benefits potentially. Have that blood test and see if you're a candidate for HRT. I'm telling you, it could change your life for as low as $120 a month. I mean, $30 bucks a week. You could change the way you feel and improve your overall health. Check them out online at yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com. Who dat say they're gonna beat them Saints? Let's head behind enemy lines to preview this week's matchup.
So today we'll have Kurt, obviously he's our starting quarterback, going out there and playing for us. We'll sign Easton Sticks to the active roster, get him acclimated and all the things that we got to get done for him to get an active roster. And we'll sign Cal Trask to our practice squad, bringing him in today, doing some of those things to move forward, to continue the rest of the season in order to go find a way to get a win this week.
Raheem Morris laying out the plan at quarterback. Mark Zinno's here, 92.9 The Game. You hear him nationally on ESPN Radio as well. He's on Twitter at Mark Zinno. What up, dude?
What's going on, brother? How you been? It's a different time here in Atlanta these days.
Well, same here. The pro team stinks, and the college team is just fraught with well, I don't know. Let's just move on. As it, the Kiffin stuff, and anyway. All right, Kirk Cousins. Let's start there, Zinno. How does the offense change with with Cousins as opposed to Penix?
Well, I mean, look, you're going to see him under center a ton more. That's number one. And ideally, they should be running somewhere in the neighborhood of about 60% of their plays out of play action. That's for Kirk's own good and for the betterment of the offense. So it's not going to look like it did. I asked Raheem about that on Monday. Obviously the offense has to look different. They're different quarterbacks. One's a lefty, one's a righty, so things are going to be called different. I would expect a heavy dose of Bijan Robinson. Drake London's going to be out. They have no wide receivers to speak of that anybody would know the name of. So I'm not sure what they're going to do from a passing standpoint, but this is certainly an offense that's going to be centered around Bijan on Sunday. Yeah,
dive in, if you would, there just for a moment on deeper on Drake London and his absence and what realistically they do in the passing game without Drake London.
I mean, I'd love to be able to tell you that Kyle Pitts will be the guy that they go to, but I don't necessarily know that that's a viable option. For all of his unicorn status coming out of college, he's more like a broken mule than a unicorn. And that's not, at least from a production standpoint, it's not, him as a total player, but the point simply is he's not exactly a great blocking tight end. And, they don't exactly find ways to open him up in the middle of the field. Maybe they will. I mean, maybe they should use the middle of the field a lot more, but I would tend to think that, as far as the options on the outside, maybe Darnell Mooney has better chemistry with Kirk Cousins than he did with Michael Penix. You can tell that those two just were not on the same page. Maybe some of that had to go back to do with missing training camp and not getting enough reps in, but by the time Mooney got back in the lineup, this team was in a different position. And so I would think that you'll get, a lot of Bijan and short passes out of the backfield and whatever not Pitts, sorry, my God, my brain is fried. Pitts and Mooney can do on the outside, and maybe some David Sills will be in there, who knows. But I don't think it would be a very high-level passing attack. And, oh, by the way, Kirk has not looked good throwing the ball. I just have to be honest about it. I don't think he's washed yet. I think this is a major opportunity for him to find a way to stay on the roster next year and play football next year, given the fact that Michael Penix is likely going to miss all of next season, at least the way it's trending. So Kirk is playing for a job here next year. And for an organization that told us we're comfortable with Kirk Cousins $40 million on the roster, why? It's already money we've paid, which was an asinine philosophy the day that they said it, but that's neither here nor there. Kirk is kind of playing for a job here. So I don't know which version of Kirk Cousins we're going to get, but if it's a good one, he may play himself into a job over the course of the next 7 games.
He's on Twitter at Mark Zinno. Okay. So they'll have a healthy dose of Bijan Robinson. I would assume they want to run the ball and probably play really good defense. So they'll have to defend Tyler Shuck. How does that Atlanta defense look to fare against Shuck on Sunday?
Well, I mean, if you go prior to the Patriots game, it looked really good. But the last 2 weeks we've seen Daniel Jones throw for 300-plus yards against them, 250-plus yards against them. And then, of course, Bryce Young went for a whopping 448 yards against them.
It's crazy.
So I don't know what to make of what their pass defense is. Some of that, I think, is a little bit of game script, though. Both of those teams were trailing later in the game and had to come back, so obviously it was more conducive to throwing. But you got to remember something. Over the course of the last 3 weeks, Matt, the Falcons' defense has been on the field 40 minutes per game. It's not sustainable. Because this team, over this losing streak, I think has converted something like 13 third downs to get first downs over the course of 5 weeks. They're constantly getting off the field. So there was one point where they were 3 for 18 over a 3-game stretch between the Niners, Dolphins, and Patriots. And so when you're constantly not being able to move the chains and stay on the field offensively, your defense wears down in the second half. And that's ultimately what the problem has been, is that their defense wears down in the second half. So if they can build a lead, maybe there's a chance where the offense starts running and converting third downs later in the game and gives the defense a little bit of a break. But that's been the problem the last couple of weeks is that defense has been on the field way too long.
Zinno, do you think that trip to Berlin a couple of weeks ago against the Colts factors into this at all?
I'm sorry, the what for a win?
The trip, the overseas trip a couple of weeks ago.
Trip to Germany, yeah. I mean, every team is, at some point, half the league is traveling overseas right now, right? Like, that's just the reality. I don't know that had a lot to do with it. It was a game they could have won, a game they should have won. I mean, in reality, there's an argument over the last 3 games. They should all be wins. They really should. And they're not, and that's probably emblematic of the team's inability to finish, the coaching staff's inability to navigate crucial moments of the game, and, overall combination of a lot of just boneheaded plays and things that went wrong along the way that are really hard to ascertain. Like, the Falcons have been whack-a-mole for the last 3 weeks. And what I mean is, like, okay, the first problem's over here on the right. Oh, no, the next problem's over here on the left. Nope, now it's up top. Nope, now it's on the, like, it's not the same thing every week. I can't sit here and tell you they've had, other than converting on third downs on offense, I can't tell you they've had a consistent problem over this 5-game losing streak you can really put your finger on. No, they haven't. It's been a different thing every single week. That's particularly the last 3 weeks that's cost them a game, and that's why they are where they are at 3-7 in a season that's quickly flushing down the toilet.
Is Raheem Morris in trouble?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the problem. The problem for the Falcons from a coaching standpoint is, and I can just be honest and blunt about this, you have a glorified quarterbacks coach calling plays and a glorified DB as your DB coach as your head coach. That's a problem. There's just not enough quality experience from the people in key positions to be able to manage this team. Raheem's in trouble because the expectation for this team with Michael Penix is that they would be a playoff team. Raheem's in trouble because the coaching has been, at best, uneven throughout the entire season. And the losses ultimately fall. You don't fire the players, you fire the coach. But in the big picture, is there a world where he's safe at the end of the year, depending on how these last 7 games go? Yes, because you know what the Falcons don't want to do? You don't want to be on your 5th coach in 11 years. That makes you the Giants and a laughing stock of the NFL. And I'm a Giants fan. Like, I grew up in New York, so it's hard for me to say that. Outside of 4 Super Bowls that they're hanging their hat on, the Giants are a joke. The whole organization is poorly run at this point in time. And if you're on 5 coaches in 11 years, then you're starting to become equally that laughing stock. You can't just keep turning everything over and expect things to change. I mean, how often can you try and find the right guy? And it doesn't look like, Matty, this offseason is loaded with hot coaching candidates.
Yeah, it's interesting too, Zinno, just as you say that, because I always perceive Arthur Blank as kind of being a patient owner, one that's not really reactionary. But
he's as meddling as the day is long. He is a very nice man, a very generous man, a very philanthropic man. He is a god-awful football owner. He cannot keep his hands out of everything. Look, just back the truck up for a minute, okay, and figure out how we got where we are at the Falcons. When Arthur Smith took the job, after Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff were fired, Matt Ryan was still here. Arthur Smith, and I have this, from very good sources, Arthur Smith was promised 2 years of Matt Ryan when he took the job, because if he wasn't, I guarantee you that he would have never taken the job. And that was when Matt Ryan's cap hit was, and this goes back 5 years, when $40 million in cap hit was insane.
Sure.
But that's where his cap hit was. So he took the job. What happened after year 1 when he finished 7-9 with Matt Ryan and a defense that was dead last in the league? Oh, the owner got involved and lusted after Deshaun Watson and openly courted him and then failed to get him. And when that happened, he had egg all over his face and had to dump Matt Ryan for a 3rd-round pick to the Colts. And the Falcons were left with Marcus Mariota in the bottom basement bargain CD bin you see at Best Buy as a quarterback. And so that precipitated all these events. And then what happened next? Oh, okay, well, then they decided to fire Arthur Smith prematurely, which was a terrible decision in my opinion, despite the fact that he won 7 games with Desmond freaking Ritter at quarterback. I mean, that should have got him a medal, and instead he got a pink slip. So then they bring in Raheem Morris, and what happens? The Falcons decide let's just pay Kirk Cousins a boatload of money, and then draft his replacement 5 weeks later. All of that was on the owner. These chain of events have been set in motion by the owner getting involved in football business when he shouldn't be.
He's on Twitter at Mark Zinno, 92.9 The Game. Okay, man, just back to Sunday because they're going to play the game out of obligation. If Atlanta wins it, how do you think the game looks?
Believe it or not, I give the Falcons a chance to win.
No, I believe that. The Saints aren't good.
Matt, Matt, are we in a world where the Saints are a favorite?
No, I think Atlanta's a 2. What's Atlanta in this game? I think it's Atlanta. Am I right? Atlanta 2.5? I'm looking at it right now. Atlanta. Nope, you're right. You're right.
New Orleans
no.
-1.5 across the board.
You're right. So it flipped with the injury. Yeah.
I mean, in what world are we living where New Orleans is a favorite?
I don't know, man.
There's just not a world where I'm betting on the Saints as a favorite. Sorry, Saints fans. Like I just.
No, I'm with you.
Laying points with Tyler Shook? Nah. I'm still mad at the Saints, by the way, for knocking me out of Survivor when they beat Carolina a couple weeks ago. Very mad at them.
And the truth shall set you free. All right, Zinno, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time as always. We'll catch up soon.
You got it, brother. I love you. Anytime. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. That's Mark Zinno. Great dude. 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. You hear him nationally on ESPN radio. Always good stuff. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. OLOLRMC.com/LSU. That's the website if you want to go get more info about that championship health partnership. Love telling you about it. But, one of the things that's always abundantly clear whenever I talk to my friends at Our Lady of the Lake, they make it at the forefront of their mission that the things that people want when it comes to healthcare is access and convenience. They want access, they want convenience. At Our Lady of the Lake, you get that. They have virtual visits, including on-demand visits. They have extended hours online. You can schedule online. And they have same-day appointments. You can connect via MyChart. So easy. You want to find a provider near you? You can do it today. OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Scroll down, you see it right there. OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Okay, it is After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here on this Hump Day edition of AFR. We always appreciate Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, title sponsor for Hump Day shows all throughout the year. I do want to catch up on all the Kiffin stuff as it pertains not only to LSU but Florida. So I'll fill in all the blanks here, but there was a report earlier today that Tulane coach Jon Sumrall was going to meet with Florida, apparently indicating that he's pivoting, that Florida is pivoting. And that now has been, let me update. We'll do it when we come back. I'll get you filled in on all the particulars next. It's AFR.
After Further Review.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, get Gordon and get it done. Yes, of course, any type of accident, automobile accident, big truck wreck, if you're injured on the job or any type of injury that's not your fault, don't go it alone. You can trust Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. And they have offices all over the state of Louisiana, so you don't have to travel. Go to getgordon.com, 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 or just dial the 8s, 888-8888, 888-8888 for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. And remember, it's not too late still to register for the bicycle giveaway. Part of Gordon Gives, the charitable arm of Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, giving away 600 bicycles to less fortunate children across our state. You want to register to win one, you could do it at any of the social media platforms. Go to @GetGordon. Get Gordon and get it done.
After Further Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Glad you're rolling along with us here. We'll do Tigers and the Pros in about 15, about a dozen minutes from right now. Russ Mitchell's here in hour number 3. We'll get to the Saints injury report. Also, Brandon Cooks is out in New Orleans, given his release today. Just an opportunity to go find a new team that he can win with. The Kiffin saga continues to get more and more interesting with every passing day. Lane was on the SEC coaches teleconference on Wednesday, and it was very non-committal. It was awkward. It was 13 minutes long. He refused to answer any direct questions about his interest in other jobs or his family coming to Baton Rouge or any timeline for a decision. And this continues to persist here. And meanwhile, the schools that are reportedly interested in Lane Kiffin are kind of making moves. So there was a report from Zach Abelverdi, who was on this show yesterday. Zach had a report on Twitter that that Florida was going to meet Jon Sumrall about the Florida job. And then a short time after that, again, Zach's part of On 3, by the way. A short time after that, Pete Nakos reported that meeting has been called off. Now, Zach has updated it, noting that meeting between Jon Sumrall and the University of Florida has been called off, noting that Sumrall is removing his name from the mix in Florida's coaching search. So the very obvious question now becomes, as you piece this together, is that because Sumrall wants a different job? Or because Florida has hired another coach and they gave Sumrall the opportunity to remove his name from consideration, which is very common when you'll hear a coach. Typically, how it goes is you'll hear a coach connected with a job, maybe even reports of a coach interviewing for a job, and then a short time later, the coach says they've removed their name from consideration, maybe get a raise at where they are, whatever the case may be. But in many instances, what that means is you aren't getting the job. So in this instance, I don't have any more to provide here from the Florida perspective as to why they've called off this meeting with Jon Sumrall or why Sumrall has removed his name. What we know from Sumrall's standpoint is up until, 2 hours ago, all of the thought, let's say up until a day ago, was that Sumrall was likely destined for Auburn. That seems to be from the Auburn camp, people who cover Auburn, not me. I don't have any idea of the inner workings at Auburn. The only thing that I've heard through the agent world is that Cam Newton was pushing at Auburn for Eli Drinkwitz because Eli Drinkwitz was his quarterback's coach on their championship team, and that was Cam's push. But all of the reports out of Auburn, in the same way that you hear out of Gainesville and Baton Rouge about Kiffin, all of the reports out of Auburn have been about Jon Sumrall. Well, a day ago, a lot of the conversation out of Oxford became they need to know an answer from Kiffin because Sumrall would be high on their list, and perhaps if Kiffin moves on, they would want to be in the mix to hire Jon Sumrall. All the more reason Ole Miss needs an answer from Lane Kiffin so they can know if they're entering the search, because they wouldn't want the guy they're targeting primarily, if it is Jon Sumrall. I don't know the answer to that, by the way. I'm playing out this hypothetical so maybe you can understand the line of thinking and how some of this is all transpiring. So Jon Sumrall, in theory, if Ole Miss wanted Sumrall before he goes and takes the Auburn job, they have an opportunity to hire him. Let me give you a for instance of what happened in Baton Rouge 8 years ago. LSU was courting Tom Herman. There was the crawl on the screen on Thanksgiving night when LSU was playing Texas A&M that Tom Herman had agreed to be the LSU coach, which had happened. And ultimately what that was, it was a warning to Texas to say, hey, this is happening. If you want to get in the mix, you better make a move. The next day, Charlie Strong's fired. Herman says he wants to talk to Texas. LSU races Ed Oger onto the podium. Herman takes the Texas job. So a lot of times these reports are leaked like this to force movement and action from another party. In this instance, it could be that it's Ole Miss showing interest in Sumrall. And so Sumrall said, thanks, Florida, but I'm more interested in Ole Miss. Or maybe it's Florida feeling like they've got something done with Lane Kiffin. And so they told Sumrall, hey, we're not interested. Maybe. But the domino that needs to fall first, the domino that needs to fall first is whatever Lane Kiffin is going to do. And I've heard a lot of conflicting things out of Oxford literally since I've been on air, as my phone just never stops buzzing right now. I actually I want to take off my Apple Watch because I'm starting to have like a physical reaction because every time it buzzes, my heart starts racing thinking, oh my God, what's happening now? But I've heard conflicting reports literally just since I've been on air about what's going to happen over the next 48 hours in Oxford. Because look, Ole Miss is going to practice tomorrow on Thursday, and then their players are off for the rest of the day, Thursday and Friday and Saturday for the open date, and they don't come back until Sunday evening. And so it stands to reason with that time away, this would be the opportunity for Lane Kiffin to decide and make known his plans, and for Ole Miss to have the opportunity to either move forward with Lane Kiffin or move forward with their search if they're seeking a new candidate. Either way, all that would leak however it would go. But this is a fascinating, very quick turn of events what's happened here in Gainesville, where Zach, who's part of On 3, by the way, reports that the Sumrall meeting is happening. And then an hour later, Pete Nakos from On 3 reports the meeting's been called off and that Sumrall has removed his name from the mix. So we'll see what we can dig up here with Sumrall and what's going on there to that degree. But, you know, I'll continue to say, from my opinion, I think Jon Sumrall is a great coach in this era, and I would be thrilled if he landed in Baton Rouge. I know all the attention has been on Kiffin, and I think, of course, Lane is the big fish that everybody wants. And if Urge Osbury's able to close the deal and finish this deal with Lane Kiffin and get him to Baton Rouge, it's a major coup. Not only do you get a premier coach, but you also weaken a team that you're going to play every year. I mean, Ole Miss is part of your permanent opponents, your annual opponents, whatever. And so you strengthen your position and you weaken a team you're going to play every year. It would be a major coup if you're able to get Lane Kiffin. But the question everyone has asked me is, if not Lane Kiffin, then who? And, you know, I don't know definitively what that short list looks like. I mean, I've heard Eli Drinkwitz. I've heard Jon Sumrall. I've heard Kenny Dillingham. You know, started to hear some scuttle about maybe Blake Baker being a long shot, but possibly being in that mix as well. But if LSU did land on Jon Sumrall, I'd be over the moon about that. I love the fact that you have a guy who is 43, could theoretically spend the next 15, 20 years at your school, who played in the SEC at Kentucky, has coached in the SEC, has been a head coach at 2 different stops with success at both stops, has coached in Louisiana, understands the culture, the lay of the land, reputation, relationships in New Orleans, in the area. I mean, there's so much great energy, understands the portal game. I mean, we just saw that with Darian Mensah. It was at Tulane, gets paid a boatload to go to Duke. He goes and gets Retzlaff from BYU. There's so much I love about the possibility of Sumrall being in Baton Rouge, and hate the thought of Jon Sumrall being in either Oxford or Auburn. But apparently it won't be in Gainesville. And what seems pretty clear is that Sumrall is going to have some options, and it's likely not going to be back in New Orleans next year. But as this continues to evolve, we'll let you know. But again, the news today, just a couple hours ago, there was a report that Florida was going to meet with Jon Sumrall about their job. Now the report is that meeting will not happen. The meeting's been called off. Sumrall removing his name from the mix. Is that Sumrall's call to remove his name from the mix? Or has Florida told him, we're good, we got our guy, and no need to have that meeting? Would assume we'll find out here shortly. As we know more, we'll certainly share it with you. Okay, we're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows door siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters too. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. It's energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. Check them out at Relief Windows. And remember, maybe you live in a neighborhood where the HOA requires wood windows. Remember, they have these Geldwin wood windows that are made from composite. And so they come with a lifetime warranty. That's not a punchline. That's fact. You get a lifetime warranty on wood windows with Relief Windows. Maybe you're building a house. Tell your contractor to use Relief Windows. That way, they install the windows at the build, and you never have to pay to replace your windows. Lifetime transferable warranty on labor, material, glass breakage over at Relief Windows. Windows, door siding. They do shutters too. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Okay, y'all. When I got a break, we will get to some Saints stuff in about 15 minutes because I do want to at least give you a thought on Brandon Cooks' release, and I want to get into the Saints injury report here from Wednesday. So we'll do that. Russ Mitchell in 30 minutes from right now. Tons of coaching stuff. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the SEC, all that good stuff. There's still a lot to do. Musil do Tigers and the Pros as we wrap up hour number 2 next.
After further review.
Had a little bit of a warm-up here. It's 80 degrees right now in Baton Rouge, but the cold temps are right around the bend. You know they'll be back in a millisecond. Our friends over at River City's 1 Hour Air, they can help make sure that your home central heater is clean, tuned up, running efficiently and safely for the cold weather months. Love sharing 5-star Google reviews. This one from Sherry said, Chris, her technician, did a great job. He diagnosed the issue with our AC and made the repair. It was also a visit for an annual inspection on the heater. He performed the inspection, gave a report on that system. All was done in a timely manner. We are very pleased with Chris's work. Another 5-star Google review for River City's 1 Hour Air. Telling you, I could not recommend highly enough joining their membership club. Their maintenance club or their membership club gives you that complimentary seasonal maintenance, membership club pricing, and front-of-the-line service. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side, 752-0001.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
We always appreciate our friends over at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Remember, it's sort of a triumvirate there. You have Goodwood, which is the men's clinic. You have Unique Physique, which is the GLP-1s. That's the weight loss clinic, the weight loss injections, semaglutide, tirzepatide. And then you have Unique Aesthetics and Wellness, which is the aesthetics clinic. Botox, laser therapy, laser hair removal, laser facials, body contouring, all that great stuff. If you want to learn more, you can. It's Unique Aesthetics and Wellness, Unique Physique, and, of course, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. All right there in the same complex on Drusilla in Baton Rouge. Lowest prices, never any contracts, of course, over at Unique Aesthetics and Wellness. $8 unit Botox. Guys, if you use it, great. If not, tell your ladies, because lowest prices on Botox you'll find anywhere. And that's not an introductory price. It's not a sale. That's an everyday price. $8 unit Botox at Unique Aesthetics and Wellness. Okay, we're wrapping up hour number 2. Muso, Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, well, let's start with the big news out of the NFL, and that is Joe Burrow, who, of course, has been dealing with a toe.
He's got a toe.
But not anymore. He was back in practice. Full participant, Joey B, at Bengals practice here on Wednesday.
So you're telling me he doesn't have a toe?
He doesn't have a toe. It's the first time since he suffered the toe back on September 14th that he has been 100% in practice. Went through 11 on 11 drills. All of that. Zach Taylor was asked if Burrow, who's still in the midst of a 21-day window, could start Saturday's game against the Patriots. And Zach Taylor was pretty dismissive on that. Said, till we get some practices under the belt, there's no reason to even speculate on that. But Joey B, full participant.
Not a babe.
No longer has the toe.
Joey B, done with the toe.
Yeah.
Love it.
Look, if he does want to play on Sunday, he should reconsider that because Jamar Chase won't be there. His suspension for spitting on Jalen Ramsey was upheld. He will miss the game against New England. It's going to cost him about $500K too. That's some pretty expensive spit.
That is expensive.
Yeah. The Houston Texans, they claimed Damone Clark off of waivers from the Dallas Cowboys. So Damone Clark, now a member of the Houston Texans. That's 3 former Tigers on that defense now, joining Stingley.
It's to stay there in Texas. That's good.
And join Stingley and Daniil Hunter. So
a little closer to BR.
Love to see that.
Damone Clark is a massive human, by the way.
Yeah?
I used to work out with him I worked out at Traction.
Spotting him?
He worked out at Traction. I will say, one very funny moment. And I saw Damone at the spring game, and he brought this up. So I was doing 100-pound dumbbell flat bench, and he was looking at me like one of those things. Like, I can't believe what I'm watching. 10 reps of 100 pounds. So 200 pounds. 100 pounds in each hand. But that was the highest dumbbell they had. And so, they were like, oh, okay. Little old bald guy out here with the NFL guys doing the 100-pound dumbbells. I'm like, that's all I can do. Don't ask me to curl anything or squat anything. But you want me to do some dumbbells?
This is the extent of the show right here.
That's it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. The video of Aaron Donald
he's massive
on game day this week was just scary with his dumbbell bench press with his feet up. I was just like, Bro, you're retired.
I think he had 150s.
Like, you're retired. Why are you still doing it? You don't need to do this
Because he can.
Brian Thomas Jr. was limited today with an ankle, so he's got an ankle. That's tough, man. Kayshon Boutte, we talked about this yesterday. He did return to practice and was a full participant with the hamstring, so look for him to potentially come back this week as well. Lastly, Duop Reith got a few minutes, 10 of them to be exact, Sunday night. 3 points plus 5 for the game. Solid. The Trailblazers stink, though, and they got destroyed. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. They're the best. You know, Ben McDonald was the first pick of the MLB draft. When he bought land, his first call was to First South Farm Credit. Couldn't recommend them highly enough. They're just the best at First South Farm Credit. firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. Remember, such a huge part of their business, really in the last year and all time, though, is the New Orleans area. So, like, maybe you live in New Orleans, work in New Orleans, you want to move to the North Shore. That's happened for a lot of people. You want to live the rural lifestyle but work in the city. They can help you buy that land. I mean, they have the office in Amite. So you want to buy the 100 acres in Tangipahoa, commute into the city, you could do it. First South Farm Credit can help. FirstSouthland.com, FirstSouthland.com. You want to buy land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, FirstSouthland.com. I made the mistake of opening up my Twitter mentions. I love Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot. It has been really hard to pay attention to Twitter mentions in the last 3 weeks. So respect to everybody who's there, but if I'm missing you on Twitter, my apologies. You can always text me, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways that you can get involved in the show. Ooh, Jon Sumrall just tweeted 8 seconds ago. It's like a rat poison tweet. Oh, what does that mean, John? Oh, 8's John. What are we doing? He's on Twitter. It's AFR.
AFR.
I got to know. Maybe I'll get in my car and I'll drive down to New Orleans right now and ask Jon Sumrall what's up. And I know that I'll be safe because I'll be driving on tires from Shawbills. How about that transition, Muse? Can I get one? I mean, come on. Give your boy a little bit of credit there, right? How about that? You get some credit for that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you're going to make a hour-long drive, you need to know that your tires are good.
Ooh, it's a Tulane football tweet that says, job not finished. And he's Coach of the Year semifinalist. Sumrall with the rat poison. Oh, love that. Go buy tires at Shawbills because you should. Because they're going to sell you the best tires at the cheapest price, and they can do everything for your vehicle. Oil change, tire rotation, all of it. They'll treat you like family. It's Shawbills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.